Alex and his wife, Victoria, had been married for 5 years. They had 2 beautiful children together, but their marriage was not happy. Victoria was a very wicked person. She loved to make Alex's life miserable. She would yell at him and criticize him in front of their children. Alex was a very patient man, but Victoria's behavior was starting to wear him down. He felt like he was walking on eggshells around her, never knowing when she would explode in anger. One day, Alex came home from work early and found Victoria sitting on the couch, watching TV. He tried to talk to her, but she just ignored him. "Hello, Victoria," Alex said. "How was your day?" Victoria didn't even look at him. "Just leave me alone, Alex," she said. Alex felt a surge of anger, but he tried to calm down. "Victoria, what's wrong?" he asked. "Why are you always so angry?" Victoria finally looked at him, her eyes blazing with fury. "You're always so stupid, Alex," she said. "You never do anything right. That's why I'm always angry." Alex felt like he had been punched in the gut. He couldn't believe that Victoria would speak to him like that. "I don't deserve to be treated like this, Victoria," Alex said, his voice shaking with anger. "I'm your husband, and I deserve to be respected." Victoria just laughed. "You're not even a real man, Alex," she said. "You're just a weak little boy who can't even take care of his own family." One day, Alex and his friends were at a restaurant, having lunch. Victoria walked in and saw them sitting at a table. She walked over to them, a scowl on her face. "What are you doing here, Alex?" she asked, her voice loud and confrontational. Alex looked up at her, surprised. "Just having lunch with my friends, Victoria," he said. Victoria snorted. "With your friends? Huh. You don't have any friends. You're just a loser who can't even take care of his own family." Alex's friends looked at him in shock, unsure of what to say. Alex just shook his head, feeling embarrassed and humiliated. "Victoria, please," he said. "Not here, okay," but Victoria just kept going. "No, I won't stop," she said. "You're just a pathetic excuse for a man. You can't even provide for your own family." Alex's friends started to get uncomfortable, and they tried to intervene. "Hey, Victoria, come on," one of them said. "Let's not do this here," but Victoria just pushed them away. "Mind your own business," she said. "This is between me and my husband." Finally, Alex had had enough. "Victoria, stop," he said, his voice firm. "Just leave me alone." Victoria huffed and stormed out of the restaurant, leaving Alex and his friends in an uncomfortable silence. As they finished their lunch and left the restaurant, Alex's friends couldn't help but ask him about Victoria's behavior. "Steve, what's going on with your wife?" one of them asked. "She's always yelling at you and insulting you in front of us. It's really uncomfortable." Alex just shook his head. "I don't know, guys," he said. "She's just really unhappy, I guess. And she takes it out on me." His friends nodded sympathetically, but Alex could tell they were all thinking the same thing. Why was he still married to someone who treated him so badly? The insults didn't just stop at the restaurant. Victoria would often insult Alex in front of their children, and even in front of their neighbor. One day, Alex came home from work to find Victoria yelling at him in the front yard. "You're just a useless husband," she shouted. "You can't even provide for your own family." The neighbors were all staring, and Alex felt his face burning with shame. He tried to calm Victoria down, but she just kept yelling. Finally, Alex had had enough. He turned and walked away, leaving Victoria to her tantrum. As he walked into the house, he heard Victoria shouting after him. "You're just a coward," she yelled. "You can't even stand up for yourself." Alex just shook his head and kept walking. He knew that he deserved better than to be treated like this. As time went on, Victoria's behavior became more and more erratic. She would often insult Alex's family, making snide comments about their appearance, their intelligence, and their lifestyle. One day, Alex's sister, Sarah, came to visit. Victoria answered the door and immediately started criticizing Sarah's outfit. "What's with the ugly dress?" Victoria asked, sneering. "You look like you just rolled out of bed." Sarah was taken aback by Victoria's rudeness. "I'm sorry, Victoria," she said. "I didn't realize I was dressed improperly." Victoria just laughed. "Improperly? Huh. You're not even dressed, period." "You look like a slob." Alex was mortified. He tried to apologize to Sarah, but Victoria just kept going. "And what's with your hair?" she asked. "It looks like you stuck your finger in a socket." Sarah had had enough. "Victoria, that's enough," she said. "I'm not going to stand here and be insulted by you." Victoria just shrugged. "Fine. Leave then. I don't need you here anyway." Sarah turned and walked away, leaving Victoria and Alex alone. Alex was furious. "Victoria, how could you?" he asked. "My sister is a wonderful person, and you had no right to treat her like that." Victoria just rolled her eyes. "Oh, poor Alex," she said. "Your sister is a loser, and you're just defending her because you're a loser too." Alex's brother, Michael, came to visit a few days later. Victoria was just as rude to him, insulting his job and his lifestyle. Michael tried to brush it off, but Alex could tell he was hurt. "Alex, I don't know how you put up with her," Michael said. "She's toxic." Alex just shook his head. "I don't know, Michael," he said. "I feel trapped. I don't know how to get out of this marriage." Michael put a hand on Alex's shoulder. "You need to get out of here, Alex," he said. "You deserve better than to be treated like this." But Alex was scared. He didn't know how to leave Victoria, and he was afraid of what she might do if he tried. Victoria would often call Alex's workplace, yelling at his coworkers and demanding to speak to him. One day, Alex's boss called him into his office. "Alex, I'm afraid I have some bad news," he said. "Your wife has been calling here nonstop, yelling at our staff and causing a scene. We can't have that kind of disruption in the workplace." Alex was devastated. "I'm sorry, sir," he said. "I'll try to talk to her and get her to stop," but it was too late. Alex's boss had already made up his mind. "I'm afraid we're going to have to let you go, Alex," he said. Alex was shocked. He had worked at the company for over 5 years, and he had always been a top performer. But Victoria's behavior had ruined everything. As Alex walked out of the office building, he felt like his world had been turned upside down. He had no idea how he was going to provide for his family now. Victoria was thrilled when she found out that Alex had lost his job. "Huh. You're finally going to have to suffer like I've been suffering," she said, but Alex didn't react. He just sat on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. As the days turned into weeks, Alex's situation became more and more desperate. He had no job, no income, and no way to provide for his family. Victoria didn't care. She just kept spending money, buying expensive clothes and jewelry, and going out to fancy restaurants. But one day, Victoria's behavior changed. She started packing her bags, and Alex realized that she was leaving him. "Where are you going?" Alex asked, feeling a mix of emotions. "I'm leaving you, Alex," Victoria said. "I found someone else, someone who can provide for me the way I deserve." Alex was shocked. He had never thought that Victoria would actually leave him. As Victoria walked out the door, Alex was left alone with their 2 children. He had no idea how he was going to take care of them, but he knew he had to try. The days that followed were incredibly difficult. Alex had to learn how to be a single parent, how to cook and clean and take care of two young children, but as he looked at his children's faces, he knew that it was all worth it. He would do anything to provide for them, to give them the life they deserved, and as for Victoria, Alex didn't care what happened to her. He was just glad to be rid of her, to be free from her toxic behavior. As the days turned into weeks, Alex found himself struggling to take care of the children on his own. He had to learn how to cook, clean, and manage the household, all while working a full-time job. It was exhausting, and Alex often found himself feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. But he refused to give up, knowing that his children needed him. As the months went by, Alex slowly started to get the hang of things. He learned how to manage his time, how to prioritize tasks, and how to take care of himself, but despite the progress he made, Alex couldn't help but feel a sense of sadness. He had never intended to be a single parent, and he missed having a partner to share the responsibilities with. As the children grew older, they began to ask questions about their mother. "Daddy, where's Mommy?" they would ask, or "Why doesn't Mommy live with us anymore?" Alex would try to explain, but he didn't know how much to tell them. He didn't want to badmouth their mother, but he also didn't want to lie to them. One day, when the children were a bit older, they sat down with Alex and asked him to tell them the truth about their mother. "Daddy, we know Mommy didn't live with us for a long time," said Emily, who was now 10 years old. "But we don't know why. Can you tell us?" Alex took a deep breath and began to explain. He told them about how their mother had been mean and hurtful. How she had made him feel bad about himself, and how she had eventually left them. As Alex spoke, he could see the shock and sadness in his children's eyes. They had never known their mother to be like that, and they couldn't understand why she would treat their father so badly. When Alex finished speaking, the children sat in silence for a moment, processing what they had just heard. Then, Emily spoke up. "Daddy, we're sorry," she said. "We're sorry that Mommy treated you so badly." Alex smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude towards his children. "It's okay, sweetie," he said. "I'm just glad that I have you too, and that we're happy together." As the children hugged Alex, he knew that he had made the right decision in leaving their mother. He had given them a better life, a life free from the toxic behavior of their mother, and as they sat there together, Alex knew that he would always be grateful for the love and support of his children. They had helped him through the tough times, and they had given him a reason to keep going. Alex Nathan was walking down the street, lost in thought, when he heard a familiar voice calling out his name, "Alex." "Alex Nathan." Alex turned around, trying to locate the source of the voice. That's when he saw her, an old school classmate, Rachel Thompson. Rachel was a few years older than Alex, but they had been in the same school. Alex had always admired Rachel's intelligence and kindness. As they hugged each other, Alex couldn't help but notice how beautiful Rachel looked. She had aged gracefully, and her smile was still as bright as ever. "What have you been up to?" Rachel asked. As they walked to a nearby cafe, Alex filled Rachel in on his life, his marriage, his children, his job loss. Rachel listened attentively, her expression sympathetic. When Alex finished speaking, Rachel smiled. "I'm so glad I ran into you, Alex," she said. "I've been thinking about you a lot lately." Alex was surprised. "Really?" he asked. "Why?" Rachel leaned in. "Because I've been in a position to help people, and I immediately thought of you," she said. "You were always so kind to me when we were in school. You helped me with my math homework, remember?" Alex smiled. "Of course, I remember," he said. "You were always so smart, but math just didn't come easily to you." Rachel laughed. "That's right," she said. "But you were patient with me, and you helped me understand it." "I've never forgotten that." Rachel paused, collecting her thoughts. "I'm now the CEO of a big company," she said. And I'm looking for someone with your skills to join our team. Alex's eyes widened in surprise. Really? He asked. What kind of job is it? Rachel smiled. It's a job that I think you'll love, she said. You'll be working with a team to develop new software. You'll have a great salary, benefits, and a wonderful work-life balance. Alex couldn't believe his luck. This was exactly the kind of job he had been looking for. Thank you, Rachel, he said, his voice filled with gratitude. I won't let you down, Rachel smiled. I know you won't, she said. You're one of the kindest and most talented people I've ever met. As they parted ways, Alex couldn't help but feel grateful to Rachel. She had given him a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. As Alex started working for Rachel's company, he quickly proved himself to be a valuable asset. He worked hard, and his talent and dedication paid off. He received promotion after promotion, and his salary increased exponentially. In a few years, Alex became one of the richest men in the city. He bought a beautiful mansion, invested in several businesses, and traveled the world. Meanwhile, Victoria's life was taking a different turn. She had left Alex for a wealthy man, but he had eventually lost all his money in a bad investment. Victoria was left with nothing, and she was forced to move from one cheap apartment to another. As she struggled to make ends meet, Victoria couldn't help but think about Alex and how he had become so successful. She realized that she had made a huge mistake by leaving him, and she began to regret her decision. One day, Victoria decided to swallow her pride and go to Alex's mansion to ask for forgiveness. She hoped that he would take her back and provide for her again. When Victoria arrived at the mansion, she was greeted by Alex's children, Emily and Jack. They were now teenagers, and they had grown up without their mother's influence. Who are you? Emily asked, looking at Victoria with disdain. I'm your mother, Victoria replied, trying to sound confident, but Emily just laughed. You're not our mother, she said. You abandoned us when we needed you most. You can't just come back and expect everything to be okay. Victoria was taken aback by Emily's words. She had expected Alex to forgive her, but she hadn't expected his children to reject her so completely. Please, just listen to me, Victoria begged. I know I made mistakes, but I promise to make it up to you. But Emily and Jack just shook their heads. We don't want you in our lives, Emily said. You had your chance, and you blew it. Victoria was devastated. She had never expected to be rejected by her own children. She realized that she had lost everything that truly mattered to her, her family, her dignity, and her self-respect. As she turned to leave, Alex appeared at the door. Victoria, I think it's time for you to go, he said, his voice firm but calm. Victoria looked at him, tears streaming down her face. Alex, please forgive me, she begged, but Alex just shook his head. I forgive you, Victoria, he said. But my children don't, and I have to respect their wishes. You need to leave us alone and start rebuilding your life. Victoria nodded, defeated. She knew that she had lost everything, and she had no one to blame but herself.